I mean, I don't really like having a hand waved in my face necessarily as I'm walking by.
Sometimes they try to be funny, and sometimes it can come across as aggressive because it can be a bit kind of in your face and flirtatious in a way.
They're very persistent, very pushy, so yeah, they become annoying.
Annoying as they are, you've got to hand it to street collectors. They have got determination in spades.
Don't care about children in poverty then?
Not at the moment. I've got bigger problems.
Do bigger problems exist than the desperate poverty of a child?
Sorry, I thought me saying I was busy was enough.
So, what does it take to be the person behind the clipboard?
You need thick skin to, survive all of the abuse and the rejection.
For 4 years, Shane worked as a chugger, slang for charity mugger.
You have to be very aggressive, very alpha to make money in that job. You've got to essentially break people down to make them compliant, and I just didn't have that in me.
Do you get any training?
Oh, yeah, every day.
Really?
Every day, yeah. We're essentially given scripts. So we'd have to memorise the script. We'd have to give it our own flavour so that it doesn't sound robotic. You're trained to have opening lines to break the ice, and then you're trained to use particular ones on particular people.
Really? Do you have an example?
Well, for older people, you can be a bit cheeky. Say, oh, you're so young, what are you doing out here alone? And then they usually laugh, and then they stop.
You got me, I just laughed.
Yeah, so, it does seem to work.
Shane says they work on the law of averages, figuring that if they speak with 100 people, at least 1 or 2 will sign up. As for their favourite targets...
Young women were a good target because we're taught that they're empathetic. They'd teach us to say some really gross things as well. Like, for example, if it was a charity for starving children, you'd just say, what if it's your kid starving? You'd want to feed them, right?
And according to Shane, some tactics are decidedly racist.
We're trained to say things to particular ethnic groups. Like, again, as awful as this is and as grimy as it sounds, if you see like an African person walking along, you could say, oh, I'm feeding your children, why won't you help? That's what we're trained to say. I never said it because that's too far.
Shane worked for 2 different companies that hire out chuggers for charities.
And with both of those companies, they would target lower socioeconomic areas. The richer neighbourhoods are less likely to give money.
And every subscription is critical. Last year, over 20,000 Aussies supported a charity after chatting with a chugger, donating just under $8 million. For some organisations, this will make up almost 50% of their total income.
Street fundraising is not everyone's cup of tea. Whether that's funding medical care in remote regional communities or funding the fight to cure cancer, this money is vital.
All charities carrying out face-to-face fundraising must follow a code of conduct.
That is designed to provide a balance between a positive engagement and an energetic and enthusiastic engagement with members of the public, whilst not putting them in a position where they feel they're being emotionally blackmailed.
Oh, they're just salespeople trying to do their job.
My hat's off to them. I think it's a really hard job. They're pretty energetic and enthusiastic.
After 4 long years working on the streets, Shane has decided to trade in chugging for retail.
What would your advice be to people who just don't want to interact? What's a nice way to do that?
Some people won't take no for an answer, even though by contract we have to. I'd say just ignore them. Yeah, that's the nicest way.
Do you ever miss it?
No, not in the slightest.
I have to admit, I'm that person that when I see the charity fundraisers on the street, especially if I have to go somewhere, but really just any of the time, I'm always like, hi, hello, yes, and then
you pretend to have a fake phone call.
I pretend to have a fake phone call, and Shane's like, oh yeah, no, we know,
a fake phone call or a fake phone? Both,
whatever. Damn it, that's why they can see through it. Literally, it all makes sense.